supposed to be about 135. Our usual strength was about 75 to 80 because we had so many casualties, so many people with malaria and people with R&R, and they just couldn't get replacements in fast enough. So usually about 80 of us in a rifle company. Other questions?
Where'd you do your basic?
Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Louisiana.
Yeah. If anybody went through there after me, I went through in December '65. I helped build Tigerland, which is the little Vietnamese village that all the AIT guys went through before they shipped over to Vietnam. It was a mock Vietnamese village with false walls and punji pits and all kinds of nasty stuff in there. We got to help build that before I went into basic training. And I took my AIT up in Fort Dix
Tell them about your relationship with the dogs.
in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had scout dogs with us often. Never tracker dogs and never security dogs, but ours were scout dogs. And their job was to walk with the point squad and through their sense of smell and some supernatural sense they have to alert us to the presence of the enemy. My best buddy dog was a big long-haired German Shepherd named Hassel. And Hassel came out and worked with my platoon and some of my squads very often. And I never understood how he was so tough that he could endure that kind of heat as a long-haired German Shepherd, but he couldn't. The scout dogs never came home. They'd do a tour, and if they were still alive and healthy, they would pass them off to another handler. Handler would go home, the next handler would take them for a tour. They might do a third tour. I don't know of any that did more than 3 or 4. Eventually, they would probably die of wounds or disease. If they survived that long and they were determined to be no longer fit for service, then they were put down. They never brought back. Hassel was, it's in the book. He was kind of odd that I can talk about the deaths of so many of my friends and talk about that poor dog, and it chokes me up. He was walking point with us the day my friend Rod Evans was killed going into that bunker complex. And we knew getting up that morning there were North Vietnamese all over the place. We'd been listening to them all night. Company commander called him out, so they brought Hassel and his handler out. And they put him with the point squad. And they got a anti-personnel mine blown on them, and it wounded Hassel and it wounded his handler. And he was so protective of his handler that even though he was really badly hurt, he managed to crawl over and try to protect the handler. And he didn't realize that the medics were trying to help the handler, and he was just trying to protect him. So he was snapping at him and barking at him. And so we knew we had to put him down so the handler could be saved. And the kid who volunteered to do that, we should have known better. He had just turned 18, I think. And he shot Hassel with an M14, but he botched it, shot him through the lungs, and he didn't die right away. So one of the other guys shot him through the head. We medevacked him too. He was a sergeant, come to find out. And he already had a couple of Purple Hearts and I think a Bronze Star, so he's a pretty well decorated dog. Anyway,
Thank you very much.
Gary, we appreciate you coming.
thanks for the opportunity.
We enjoyed having you, and we hope you come back again soon. You'll always be welcome here.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
And for your service here today and for your service then, we have a small token. It's a challenge coin,
Oh, cool.
and it's got our Naval Air Station emblem on one side
Beautiful.
and the CAF and the flag on the other.
Thank
And
you.
we'd like you to have this.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Okay,